Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 9, Episode 5 of Euphoria, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, yada, 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 yada. The most important thing, Caedrel is here as always, but even more important than that, we are joined by the most successful Western player in the history of League of Legends. You're the most successful Western player in history. You are.
Wow.
You are the most successful.
Look at that smile.
Again, I'll say it again. You were the most successful. People will argue best. I think you're like at worst top 3 on the best Western player of all times. Top 2.
How could you?
I'm just. The most successful is undebatable. People can. I'm gonna get like a million comments about like, no, this guy's technically the GOAT. Like, well, I'm not. I say you're the GOAT. Welcome. What's life of the GOAT like right now? How's it being back in Berlin?
I just eat some grass.
That's why I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah, just some grass in the morning, some like broccoli sometimes, some goat milk.
Learning from the best. Faker and Perkz both eat broccoli.
Yeah. Bro, chilling. Bruh. That's the secret to success. Eat your veggies, kids. Yeah, welcome, dude. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff this week. Week 4, everything that happened in Week 4. We'll assign another Euphoria MVP with the help of Perkz. Unsurprisingly, we're going to talk about you. And we'll talk a little bit about Week 5 as well. There's some banging mashups coming up. In the meantime, though, some shit has been going down in NA that we have to talk about.
Before we talk about the EU.
Before we talk about EU, which I know might sound odd. So we can start with the church, or we can start with the queue. It's your choice, Caedrel. You can
Let's go queue into church.
Queue into church.
Queue into church.
Champions queue has come out. Seems to be universally loved. If you don't know this, it's like NA made a specific server, I guess, in LA with limited access. So finally people in LA can play on 20 ping. Did you leave at the wrong time, Luca? Do you wish you were there for the 20 ping server?
No. I mean, I'm just a little bit skeptical about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's great in the beginning.
Yeah.
Of course.
Sure.
Surely it's going to be great in the beginning. But let's give it 1 month and see if they're going to allow their queue times. Then I'm just going to be curious, Basically, I'm a bit skeptical because...
I will also say that I think the idea, right, is to get like really good, sick, viable practice. But I tuned into one stream. It was Pobelter's stream, and enemy Scion was enemy top laner was Hullbreacher Scion, just internally split pushing. And I was like,
it's called Baus's stream
I
on a second monitor.
was literally gonna say it's like they still have the Baus in their perfect champions queue.
Yeah.
Not that the Baus isn't a champion, but maybe not the pinnacle of viable competitive strategies. So. Yeah, we'll see. People seem happy for now, though.
I mean, for those of you who don't know, it's $400,000 prize pool across the entire year, and it's kind of invite only. I guess
that is actually. I think that is the incentive to keep playing the whole year. So I think that makes sense. Yeah. Maybe it's not gonna die out.
I think the rank 1 gets around $60,000 or something,
which is sick.
Which is nuts if you think about it. I think the only things that Riot have tried for high elo solo queue players in the past has been backpacks, jackets, and a medal. $60,000. Hey, I'll take that any day. Just grinding solo queue nonstop on queue. It's invite only. I think the best thing about invite only is no one can be an asshole. Because it's such a limited pool of people that if one person is sticking out like a sore thumb, everyone's like, can we kick this guy? Like, what's he doing?
True, yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of good, yeah. Sounds like really insane on the in theory, right?
In theory, yeah.
Yeah. I think that the big thing is I saw that everyone was in 5-stack Discord comms, which I think is really cool. That's probably one of my favorite parts about it. Because my concern would be if your goal is to get the best competitive practice possible, but there's like a 60K prize for who's ever rank 1, you're just like super incentivized to do whatever like cheesy bullshit's going to win you games. Like, not to drag anybody here, but Zillion Mid seem to have got Magifelix right to the top of the ladder and may have also gotten your butt into Challenger or almost Challenger. So like
Perkz got me as well up there as well. His Irelia was nuts yesterday or the day before. Absolute 1v9 machine.
Dude, you can't spoon feed him. I'm not telling you to grief him, but like don't let him have it for free, Luca.
I was kind of griefing the game until I wasn't, I guess.
They just popped off. But the Champions queue has its own website, its own ladder, its own ranking system. There's a match history you can look at. I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing Ivern mids everywhere. Just to put it out, I'm seeing Kane tops, so people are still having like a couple test champions going on, they're trying to figure things out. But yeah, I think the motivation to win is always there when there's like a prize pool behind it,
which is cool. So speaking of Ivern mid, C9's brand new / not so new mid laner, role swapping in Fudge, playing Soraka, Ivern. How do you feel when you watch games of like Soraka versus Victor, Ivern versus Victor? Are you like, wow, this is some big brain stuff, I want to try it? Or are you like, oh my god, this looks so miserable, so unfun?
I mean, I actually enjoy playing supports, and like I have like a little bit of fun in it as well. So definitely something that if they keep having success with, I will be probably playing as well, right? Because I do want to win, and I'm open-minded to new stuff. But as of right now, like looking at their last game versus EG was the thing, I think.
Yeah.
I was more like shocked by how badly was the enemy Victor playing and his choice of like runes and items and everything. Basically, I feel like if that Victor goes like Ghost and just starts like Doran's Ring or like whatever, even Dark Seal, whatever, just farms and goes like 10 CS per minute. He had like 30 CS a minute 5, and then he had like 180 CS a minute 20. I think a minute 20, he should be like 250 CS, like not even joking, And he should be like 3 items the fastest in the game because he has the most free lane. And he will automatically Flame Horizon Soraka. And imagine 3 items Victor with Ghost and Flash. Yeah. If I'm Victor, I'm pretty confident in like dominating that game, like honestly. So I'm not like, I could be wrong as well, but until somebody plays really good against it and loses, I will not be convinced. You know what I mean?
You're more convinced that it's like skill gap than it is change gap.
Yes, I think so.
Is the Ghost because you have a free lane, or is it because?
Yeah, it's because you have free lane and also it counters Olaf, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So you can just, it's just like you have free lane and Ghost is just so OP in teamfights. Like you get 1 kill, you are Victor. They're not running away from you. Like trust me. Yeah.
How do you feel about before we talk about LEC? How do you feel about mid lane summoner spells right now? Because it literally only used to be flash TP. I think we had 2 TP Ignite games last season. While you were in LA, Caps played 2 TP Ignite 1 games, and we had like maybe 4 Flash Ignite games. And now it's like 80% TP and 20% other stuff, which doesn't sound like a big shift, but it used to be like 97%. Do you think it's like with the nerfs to TP, like is Ghost still a situational option? Is there one best summoner spell for mid lane? Like
if I have to say, I think TP is still the best spell for mid lane. You can consider using other spells, but I do feel like you're kind of putting your team at a disadvantage without using TP because the mid-game macro is just so much harder to play without TP. Or, sorry, it's so much easier to play against enemy team when you know enemy mid doesn't have TP.
Yeah.
Like for all the noobs watching here, like basically if your mid laner has Ignite or Ghost, they go on that side of the lane and you know that enemy is going to play towards him. So you can easily make crossmap plays. So if you have one guy defending with TP, or you can basically double TP can make crossmap plays, can make defending plays. The other team just has to trade the whole time, like basically, which is not always bad. Yeah. But you have to basically you force your team in a specific way of playing the game, and it's not even about yourself. It's more about everyone else has to adapt playing around you. So I don't think it's still the most viable. I do think you can get away with it sometimes, and sometimes it's quite good. So I do like that you have a bit more versatility, kind of, but I don't think it changes the big picture.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because normally the way the game works, I think it's completely right. It's like, if they have Ignite on a side lane, they have to play for him because he can't join his team in the first place. So you know exactly which side they're playing to. And you can cross map and then use your double TP to defend your side, and you trade ahead basically, right? So makes a lot of sense. I guess the only champions normally with Ignite and things like this is like Yasuo.
Yeah, I think Yasuo you want to use Ignite.
Kill pressure.
Because you kind of need it, I feel like.
You took it on Vex, and I know that lane was kind of rough. But
yeah, that was like really troll. Because like I was just experimenting that time as well, because I thought maybe I can get like solo kill pressure, but because he has TP, like if an enemy is not boosted, like because I was actually like I was ironically like 2 pots to his 0, and then I just didn't get a base off. So like I really trolled I should have like sacked something and just get a base off.
Yeah.
But then I basically stayed in my lane for so long, and then I ended up losing like 10-15 minions because I didn't get a base off earlier to lose like 4 minions. So it was like my greed actually like got me really, or my TP, you can take either. Yeah. And after that I was like, I won't take, I won't take not TP anymore.
Interesting. Yeah, frankly, like, I don't know. I think new TP is, obviously it's just much more boring than old TP. Like, we just lack a lot of the hyphy early game plays. So I kind of wanted it to, like, disappear and we get a bit more combat sums, but even like getting a Ghost in mid lane or getting an Ignite in mid lane doesn't mean we're going to see people 1v1 killing each other in mid lane that much more.
Yeah, I think the game has just evolved, also like, and the champions are not as like the mid lane champions are not like as powerful as they used to be. Like I think mid lane is still a very strong role.
Yeah, but
it's just like the champion itself. Like before it was like Aatrox, Aurelia, Akali, super broken. Last year, Akali, Sylas. Then like the last 2 years were just TP meta, basically like hard TP meta. But before that, it was like you could solo kill others. You could like not talking about the days before, of Zed, or like stuff like that, right?
Yeah, the good old Season 9 and Season 8 days where it was like first pick Aurelia, ban Aurelia, these kind of things. But removing TP, I think Faker said in an interview, it's like, he said, well, the game's just slower because you've removed more variables from the game. So there's less things to think about, right?
Yes.
So one easy strat was just early gank top, get top TP advantage, play for bots, right? Very simple, good Drake, good dive bot, but you don't really have to worry about that anymore. Top is just in isolation a lot more.
Yeah, and you brought this up in the interview that you did with Ashley for Horizon. You were talking about how like bots can just brain off infinitely push once they have the lead because they literally don't have to think even a little bit about TP wards, about like surprise ganks. It's like
I think it makes like there's pros and cons to everything. Right? It's not just black and white. Like I think like the pros are that you have to be better at laning now. And for example, like you can't just turbo hard grip first 3 levels and then TP on a minion and still be in good situation. Now if you actually hard grip first 2 levels and enemy mid can get the push out. And you TP to your turret, and enemy mid saves TP and gets a TP for next trade. Or basically, he just like TPs on a like let's say you are picking up your lane, and enemy mid gets the freeze, and then you have to TP to your turret to break the freeze, and enemy mid can TP to his turret, so he's much closer to his turret, right? So he can actually hold the freeze potentially a bit longer, or threaten some ganks or something. Like it just I like it in that sense because it makes laning more skilled, and I can feel like it's so much easier to get lane advantages nowadays than like last year, and that's why I'm focusing on it a bit more as well, right? But the fact that like you can't TP anywhere else until 14 minutes, I think that's kind of bullshit, right? Because it's just like I feel like it would be even like fine if they put it to like 10 minutes or something, like make the game a bit more faster, a bit sooner, right?
It's kind of like if you removed like crabs, for example, there's less things to really think about or fight over or try to contest. You don't really need to get TP advantage, or maybe your TP advantage is never really going to go to another lane. There's less and less variables in the game, for example. So I think pushing TP back to 10 minutes would be great, or removing it, so it's a bit more Armageddon.
Okay, I don't mind the Armageddon, but I do like that you get to highlight the lane discrepancies more, because I do feel a lot, especially like when we had the like everyone TP's bot days. It was funny. But also no one ever laned 2v2,
because you watch Fnatic's games and it's like there's a ward behind bot lane every game. And level 3, no matter what happens, you're either getting dove or you're getting TP'd on your like stacking wave.
But yeah, the TPing to minions things also seem strong. I wonder if they'll like roll it back and like enable it so you can TP to wards sooner, or maybe just take out TPing to minions altogether. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they keep it the same. I don't know how comp is obviously different than solo queue. But now shifting our attention to week 4, one of my favorite games this week was this absolute banger between Astralis and Team Vitality, where at 14 minutes, Astralis were 3,600 gold in the lead. You won that game somehow. Like, what actually happened? Talk to me about that game. Like, how is it from your perspective? Because it was, I was actually stunned that you won. I was stunned first that Vitality got that far ahead, but then I was really blown away that you guys actually managed to pull it back. So what happened?
Basically, like usually I always lose to like the 0-8 team or the
Giants back in the day.
I lost to or I lost like FlyQuest Academy last year, so I always do that. So I think I thought it was me. So basically I decided to keep up my normal routine even though they're 0-8 and go to gym and get pumped a bit before the game and like be ready to like win the game, because I don't want to lose to them really. And I think not all of us were on the same page. So I think we just didn't really respect enemy move timers. And like Leona was roaming the first round top, for example, on like a really bad bot wave. But it's like, the saying, be very man of with nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't give a shit, he just wants to like do some crazy plays. And the roam top was honestly not even good because Lee Sin could just cover dive in case even they want to dive, and enemy Jhin would be losing much more than we would be losing top, basically. Yeah. But it was really, really good because we didn't anticipate it fast enough. Like we did say she was missing for a long time, but it's like it wasn't really clear where she was, right?
Yeah.
And then we just faced a tribush, and then top dies, and then next play was like also the overextend. It was supposed to be a fast play, but Cork's package, so they overextended, and then the die as well. So I think like just a bit of like maybe not enough communication from our side, or a bit of like lack of judgment from the top set boys.
Yeah, the top jungle were having a bit of a horror game.
But I think that we played well from behind. We were aware of what we have to do to win. Yeah. And I think we kept just like, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, we're not gonna lose to this team, right? Right, guys, you know?
Right.
I was thinking that to myself. I was just like basically focused on my play. And I think Carzy was playing really well as well. And he was having a lot of good impact in the comms as well. So I think since he was lifting up the mood as well, I was very confident even in the game. I mean, I just kind of knew I had to make no mistakes in order to win the game, though, because I felt like, oh, if I die once, the game is just insta over, basically. So I was playing very reserved and just trying to farm up and carry, basically.
Yeah. When it came down to those final moments, do you feel like they had the tools to win the game and then they kind of just over pushed into you? Because I remember you had the Orion Shockwave where you one-shot someone on the team. I want to say White Knight. Yeah, you one-shot the Jace. Yeah. And then you guys obviously also had the steal, which I think was your ulti with Lee Sin Q over the wall.
It's like the classic steal, basically. Yeah. So I mean, I don't even know if they could end the game there when I kill Jace, because it's easier for me to defend at Nexus turrets anyways than it is that I can worst case just shock with the minions.
Yeah.
So I don't think the game was over even if I didn't kill the Jace, even though it made it like, I guess, much more hype that I got a kill, you know.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that was like, the fight was kind of crazy though, because they were like running it, but then like Corky Package just killed like 2 people. Like so that was like that was actually like, because I feel even had like Blood Thirst and Overheal.
Yeah.
And it was like he just got one-shotted, so it was like really shocking. But yeah, I mean, I think we kind of knew what we had to do given the situation to win the game. Surely against a harder, better team, playing against the Fed, Corky, and Jace, we would have probably lost, probably. But I think we did take the right decisions in the mid game and knew, okay, we had to fight them. You know, we have to just fight, and whatever happens, because if we get poked, we will lose, right? So surely Baron still was the reason why we didn't lose the game, but I think our decisions were the reason why we won the game. So I'm still like, I win as I win, right? We have to get every dub, you know, every dub counts. So yeah.
Do you feel like the every win counts mindset, is that always the way things are, or do you feel like that feels more important for you right now because of like the rough week 1 and how close the standings are?
Definitely feels more important because of the rough week 1. But even regardless of that, I think that should be the right mindset, right? Like, as I mentioned, I did like drop so many games before to weaker opponents, and I don't think that's something that a top team should want to strive for, you know? I do think that every win matters and every opponent is like, you know, to be respected in each way, right? So
yeah, I also think something you said there is so correct that people kind of overlook around the game when you're losing the game and you're against something like Corky, Jace, Jhin. You know, if they set up for a siege and they poke you out in an objective, it's over.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times when teams go in and they fight, yes, their chance of winning the fight might be 30-40% because they're behind. But if they win the fight, they're back in the game. But if they don't take the fight in the first place, they can never get back in the game. Yeah. So a lot of times when you see these games, these teams will go in and all die. And it's kind of funny because watch them die and the game's over faster. But the point is, if they actually don't do it, the game is it's just completely over.
I think it's really interesting because you see this in a lot of games too. I think it's most apparent in esports more often than not. But like there's definitely a difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. Like you see so many teams with like a control mage Orianna, you talked about this. You could just sit back and shockwave minions. And I think that's playing not to lose. You're just playing to survive, hoping that there's going to be a better opportunity at some point. But at some point, I feel like if you're behind and the enemy doesn't grief it, you always have to take one of those high-risk plays. And I really respect teams that can make the right decision in the moment, because you are going to look like an idiot half the time when you play. When you're playing to win in a deficit, it means, I think, risking something more often than not, unless you're waiting for some like late game jinx crap and the enemy team doesn't scale well, you know?
Yeah, it has to be like, I think mistakes can be obvious to the human eye depending on how much you know about the game. So for example, if they're diving on your tier 3s and you're playing to just clear waves, it's very obvious that they're the ones making the mistake. But when you set up for like a dragon fight and someone just mispositions in a snap second, you engage on it, it's very hard to the human eye to just see that it's a mistake, or if it's just, you know, like reaction time of your team just realizing, damn, he just misstepped for 1 second, just go. I think the Mickey XL Drake fight was one of them where he just instantly goes over the wall, instantly gets onto humanoid, dies, pops him, fights one from there, right? So yeah.
I mean, there's definitely the little things. Luca, in your eyes, you kind of already talked about how you felt like maybe you guys, or maybe top side at least, wasn't super respectful of the potential roam there. But in general, do you look at this game, do you think Astralis are improving as a team? Do you think Astralis are a team that are going to eventually start taking wins based on what they showed versus you? Or do you think it's mostly comes down to you guys just playing a little disrespectful or making a couple mistakes and that getting out of control?
Nah, hard to say. I mean, I don't really have a comment for that. It's really hard to say, like, especially when you're 0-9. I mean, I think they will for sure win some games because Like you just don't go 0-18, you know. I didn't want to be the team that like loses to them. Like when they have nothing to lose, you know, it's like actually easier to win, you know.
Yeah.
They know, okay, we can't make playoffs anymore, you know, or something like that. It's like you can take wins now.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully it's a sign of positive things to come. First draw is the fact that they were able to fight back against you guys to a certain degree. But shifting attention over to G2 Esports, former brothers. Narrative. Interesting week for them. Win over BDS, loss versus Rogue. Loss versus Rogue with a turbo draft. Mickey X said it was like 100% a G2 win because they got TF, they got everything that they could want on the G2 side, and then it just didn't work. I don't know if you remember this game very, very clearly, either of you, but
I
do,
yeah. At the draft was Akali top, Lee Sin, TF, Zeri, Nautilus.
Yeah.
And then Rogue had like this Akshan top, which was like the point of weakness. You know, it's like they have Akali TF, surely this Akshan will die.
It didn't.
The Akshan never died.
Yeah, Adam actually just plays Vixen even with action. He's just that good.
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
That's nuts.
So what's the read on G2 Esports here? Because I was very convinced by Mickey after we had him on the desk. He's like, this draft, there's no way to lose with this draft. And then Rogue won anyway. So I'm not sure if this should be like a, damn, Rogue are so insane. Because obviously they're undefeated, and that's excellent. It's still best of one. But I'm trying to, what's the actual takeaway you think from this game versus Rogue?
It's hard to say because I think that all of G2's options were topside, but they never really found anything. They were playing a lot through mid, and Trimby was always there first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second Larson got this like solo kill onto Caps with Trimby behind him, I think mid is just over, and then TF can never go anywhere. And then the only real options you have is on the Herald fight if Akshan mispositions coming from topside, and you can maybe catch him and then go towards the bot side afterwards. That didn't happen either. Odoamne was, I don't know if their communication is just so good, but he was having the push early when his jungle was topside. His jungle's not topside anymore. He's like chilling under his tower and
his
stealth.
jungler was actually really griefing that game. I remember now. Like Malrang was like, I know he's like the MVP or something, but he was really running in that game, and he was taking really bad decisions, I think. So like top was much harder than it should have been, and Odoamne was still winning it. I mean, obviously the matchup pride, but I think he toyed the line with enemy jungle and mid like pretty well the whole game. I think I was actually pretty impressed by Odo's performance. I mean, they didn't even go top, you know. They sacked him and let him take the turret, I think. So
yeah. I remember the Maorank's like mid gank, he like R flash failed, but then it still worked out because like Jankos went in and died, and then Caps tried to help and he died trying to ult away. Jinx rocket hit him. It's just like such an unfortunate series of events where you lose TF ult, you lose your mid jungle sums, and you give over 2 kills. And then it's like, that was shit, you know, like, what's the plan now, boys?
Yeah, dang. It's a good call out on the Malrang stuff. I want to watch that back, because to me, it was just like, I saw like the mechanical mistakes in the mid lane, but then it just like all worked out, and it was like, damn, how like, I think Jankos was up in XP too when he went in the mid lane gank too.
Yeah, and then this action had like Merc Tread's Witsend or something against Akali TF, and it was like, well, now it's kind of tanky, I guess. And then they never really ulted top.
I felt like Odoamne he did very well in the context of lane, but it was just like ultimately it was just like the quirky power.
Maybe it's just a 5-head bait where it's like he picks action, so all of G2 are like, yeah, let's play top side, let's get this action behind. He just plays weak side so well, and Larson just comes and carries the game with his Corki.
Yeah,
takes his mid towers all the time.
The crazy play.
The Demolish Corki, again, he did it against Sona. Demolish Corki took his tower with Rift Herald in like 10 minutes. I think they also got mid tier 1 pretty early as well this game.
Yeah. I like it. I certainly like it. Any thoughts on this G2 roster as a whole, Perkz? You've been on a lot of G2 rosters. Read on it. I'm not trying to get you to talk any kind of shit for the record. I'm just thoughts generally. Yeah.
I mean, I still think they're a pretty good team. Like decent. Yeah. And, I mean, I don't think anyone in Europe is actually a pretty good team besides maybe Rogue right now. Yeah. I think Rogue is actually a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I think everyone else is not really a team yet. I don't think they have like strong top set players, but I think there is like a lot of EU teams with like strong top set players, and I don't think their top set is like standing out compared to like, let's say, the other top 3, top 4 teams. I think their bot lane is just not super strong or like scary.
Yeah.
That's usually like the, how is it called? The issue in a team where if you have a specific threats and specific people that are not threats, that's why you don't need like threats in multiple roles, I feel like. And Broken Blade seems to be able to play only carries for like basically his whole career. So you kind of know that they're going to play a carry, and he's pretty good at them, and he has a versatile champion pool. So I think he's like he's a pretty strong point. But I don't know if he can if he's that good that he can take advantage of the other top laners, basically. You know what I mean? I think he's pretty good. He's quite good, but is he that good? And then you know that basically they won't play towards the bot lane. They won't pick I don't know, Cyan, Gragas, Ornn and do that, you know. So I think Caps and Jankos are pretty good still, right? Players. So I would say they're top 4 for sure. And a good opponent to play against.
Yeah.
Just not, I don't know. It's the G2 days are over. You know
Yeah,
what I mean,
yeah,
right?
for
It doesn't stand
sure.
out.
Yeah. You don't think of, I mean, they're still a good team.
Yeah.
And not an easy opponent, but it's not
they're not the G2 team or the second coming of 2019
G2
G2.
just won't be G2 again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was in G2 and I would hear other people speak about us. It was it's kind of how fans perceive us as well, other pro players, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like everyone has this kind of image of G2 in a way. So I think everyone has to kind of lower the standard or the image, right, in a bit of a way, and expect basically you know, be really really happy if they actually win the split, you know. For example, instead of oh, if they don't win the split, you know, it's hard. I mean, I actually don't know how people perceive them or not, you know, but basically just giving how it should be, right?
Yeah, I guess it's when you hear the name, you expect them to be winning the split, but when you dig deeper and just, you know.
Well, yeah, and I mean, regardless, you gotta cut them a little bit of slack because it's a new roster, but also it's a new roster. It's not
but they have also been scrimming since September. I've scrimmed with them with C9, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
they were scrimming during Worlds.
I think they're scrimming for a very long time.
Yeah,
so I don't think they're in honeymoon phase, you know.
Sure.
So I think they also got a little bit unlucky because of COVID as well, right?
Feels like everybody different week, different team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think the big thing for me is I agree completely. I think if they do achieve something even finals, honestly, with this roster, I think is a huge achievement, and I hope that G2 fans and LEC fans in general give them that credit, and it's not just well, you're G2, you should have won.
Yeah.
But that said, I want to see what happens with Flacket and Targamas. We're seeing a lot of Senna games, and it makes sense again if Broken Blade's playing carries. But with Senna Nurse coming in this patch, I'm wondering what does it look like now? What is the team? How is the team going to function? Do we get more spicy Targamas picks? But in the meantime, feels like G2 tied for second right now. Definitely not a bad start.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
definitely.
The tie with Fnatic, right?
Yeah.
I think it's Rogue, Fnatic, G2, and then
Rogue, Fnatic, G2, and then
got the Mad Vitality tie for 5th, I think.
Yeah.
4th, 5th.
Yep.
Okay, shaping up.
Mad Misfits Vitality. 3-way tie.
I saw your
for
tweet where it
fourth.
was if we didn't go 0-3 in the Super Week, we would be...
I mean,
we would be second place.
For me, I actually I don't know, I don't even count the Super Week. You know, how do I say? In my eyes,
it never happened.
Yeah, exactly. It actually it didn't It's a way to cope as well, but it's also partially true because we were really sick and I had literally a fever the night before, and I couldn't sleep as well at all, and we weren't even together. So it's to me, it just seems so troll and unreal that it's I don't even believe that what this happened will determine how we are or where we are. You know what I mean? I refuse to believe that this is gonna determine our split. So I just go in with that mindset moving forward, right?
Yeah, to be honest, it's hard because it's not a troll game in week 8, right? Where it's everyone's playing Shaco top or whatever. But I kind of almost wish it was, so we could just cut that out of your stats. Because when you look at your team, when you want to talk about your team, we have to keep those useless ass week 1 stats. Yeah. And I don't want to give you, and if fans are frustrated with you or whatever, I get it. But it's hard because we didn't really get to see your team play until week 2. That's how it feels to me, and I think that's how it feels to a lot of people. And that's what I want to use to set expectations. But also at the same time, I don't think fans should be okay, free pass. But in this context, you guys are ill. It's first team of the week, and you play. If you didn't play completely different in week 2, if it was still kind of messy in week 2, I think it'd be harder for me to be yeah, I agree with you. But you guys did. You showed up big in week 2. It's been pretty consistent since then.
I don't think we're like great or something, but I just think that the week 1 is like completely like not what
we were just
are.
literally a different team.
Yeah,
in week 2,
exactly. Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
You know,
Both inside and outside the game, right? By the sounds of it. Was the whole team mentality like
Yeah,
that after week 1?
like as soon as like we are together, it feels like we're actually a team, right?
Yeah.
Playing from the same room, and it's just a big like I can't really explain it. Like it's a big shift of atmosphere and the attitude, you know, and the excitement for the games as well. And kind of went, oh, now we can finally practice together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. I mean, I'm really happy that you guys are finally together and that the COVID thing is over. It's a giant, obviously ongoing pain in the ass in so many ways. And it sucks when teams get hit by it specifically. And it's not just the restrictions that are causing you problems, but actually any illnesses themselves.
It's the logistics as well, where like half the team gets hit and then they have to go away, but then maybe the other half gets hit.
I mean,
and has to be
if one
waiting,
person on your team gets COVID for whatever reason, that's an actual player and not a staff member, I believe, because I think it's probably easier to have staff members just like
I mean, ideally, like honestly, like everyone gets COVID at the same time, so you don't have to like worry about
and
something.
that feels like a bad thing to say, but
exactly.
ideally,
exactly what I mean, right? Like ideally, we all like take it at the same time.
The same week.
Yes, exactly, and then we just like fine for the rest of the
take it from there.
Yeah, like it sounds so troll and so disgusting, but it's like in a way like. It would be ideal.
Yeah. You know, right after nobody getting COVID, just everybody at least having it at the same time.
Yeah.
Last team I want to talk about today is actually Rogue. It's just talked about in the context of the G2 match, but one of my questions about this lineup is, and we said this a lot at the start of the season. On paper, this isn't the all-star super team lineup that I think was expected for you guys and expected for Fnatic. But right now, they're clearly the best team, and you said they're a pretty good team. They're playing well as a team together, which a lot of things aren't. Like, what do we think that the ceiling is? And I guess, what do you think the ceiling is, first and foremost, Perkz, of this team? Like, where do you see them going? Is this, in spring at least, title contenders? Is this a Worlds representative for EU? And I know that's looking super far out, but based on what you've seen, based on the names you've seen, is this going to be a consistent top team in Europe with these 5 players? Or is this just like they're doing well for now, it's whatever?
It's always so hard to say. It's kind of like on your intuition, right? Or like your own personal opinion. But this Rogue lineup kind of reminds me of like the 2018 Misfits summer, where they like looked really, really insane. And they went 9-0, right?
And then they just instantly bombed.
No, but it's not about even like bombing.
Yeah.
They did bomb. Yeah, I don't know if this team will bomb or not. I'm not even saying that. It's just like when you look at... from my perspective, again, I mean, look at as a player, like you count kind of the past achievements as well, or like the past successes in playoffs and performances as well, and then on top of that, also like the threat of in each individual player, right? Which I think they have very good players, and I think one of the reasons why they are doing so good right now is because they did have a change, but they still kept the core, kind of. Yeah. The 3. I mean, people can say whoever is the core, is the core, but they kept 3 out of 5. Yeah. Which play together for a bit and have the basics, of each lane, top, mid, and bot. So they just plugged in a jungler, which could be a big flip and could be a disaster, but ended up being really great because of the way Marang plays around them. He plays super good, but he plays very selfless. Selfless. Yes, exactly. Very selfless. So everyone is falling to his play right now. Yep. But I do not think, and I don't even know if he thinks, as a Diamond jungler, Diamond junglers are known for the efficiency, I don't think his play is very efficient. And I think he is burger flipping a lot of the plays. As a from player perspective, I think some of his burger flips are pretty good flips. I think they're like 70 to 30 flips, 80 to 20 flips. But he's flipping, even like the Herald start against us, or like going bot. Like some plays he does, it's just like he does it because he knows it's good. And if enemy doesn't do anything about it, it's really good. But if enemy does something about it, it actually turns bad. You know what I mean? So that's how I see him play right now. And I think the last game against G2 was for sure their best game, and they looked actually like pretty scary there, right? Even like it's just so like I have a lot of opinions of it, but it's like when I go into playoffs and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna play against Rogue, or I'm looking to, I'm gonna play against Rogue. I'm not like shit, like I can't pinpoint a point of their team where I'm thinking, oh, they're going to be scary there for our team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bot, top, mid, jungle. I don't think someone is going to be scary for our team. Whereas like some other players, G2, their mid jungle is pretty good. They're like my former teammates, right? So I have respect for them, Fnatic, obviously, right? Good players as well. I would be looking more at like G2 Fnatic still for playoffs rather than Rogue. But again, I could be proven terribly wrong, right? Maybe they're actually just that good. This is just that's
just your opinion.
Yeah, my opinion, right?
Yeah, you're reading. You'll get another chance to play them in the regular season. I think the question that I have, I guess, kind of for both of you about Malrang is that I get the like 70-30 flips, 80-20 flips. He takes a lot of risks. He's super selfless. He falls behind. Is this something that when you're preparing for a best of 5 is like easy to deal with if he keeps playing like this? Is it easier when you have all this time to prep for him, or is this play style always just kind of high risk, no matter how, or high risk, high reward for him, no matter how prepared you are for it?
I mean, if he's really, really, really good at the game, he just like completely switches his style in playoffs, but then also requires like his team to play around as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think jungle going 20 CS down on average a minute 10 is going to be good, especially now that I'm thinking like also with the item changes, I think like junglers farming a bit more is also good. So I mean, we will see, right?
Yeah, it's one of those he's like one of those junglers where it's like he can't keep getting away with it, right?
Like, that's what you think.
He can't keep getting away with it. Surely it's going to stop eventually. I mean, I guess you could say like playoff scouting, you can be like, well, guys, this guy's just going to spam gank, just need to track jungle somehow, get early wards, maybe late invade, split the map, something like this. I don't know, you can be creative to try and shut him down his early playstyle. But again, like Perkz said, if he can flip the switch and change his playstyle to a more farming orientated, efficient pathing, then well, now you have no real like read or anything to go off because he can do whatever he wants. The weird thing to me about Rogue is, well, not weird, but the interesting thing is they always drop jungle to 4-5, worst case, and they'll always find something that can do some early game action. I think most recently they'll drop it to 4-5, give over Lee Sin Sinzao bans, and then just pick Volibear or whatever. So he's got or Trundle, so he's going to find something to do something in the early game, and that's what he's leaning towards the most. And it makes sense when his carries are playing Corki Jinx every game, right? Why would you even need to play a carry jungle when they're playing Corki Jinx? As long as they're stable, the game's probably in a fine state.
It's interesting, and I wonder if that draft changes too as we go through more and more patches, because that's the other thing about League of Legends, right? Is we could very well have some crazy patch where it's like Nidalee all the time again, and we have to see more farming, more focus on himself. Now we come to potentially a difficult discussion this week, which is EUphoria MVP. Perkz, if you didn't know already, we gave one to Hillsang week 1, Trimby week 2, Malrang week 3. Generally, it's easiest to think of teams that have gone 2-0. That's my really bad drawing of Malrang.
A little bit of Photoshop going on the other two.
A little bit of Photoshop going on. We're going to go for drawings. We've voted for drawings from now on. So whoever wins this gets a bad drawing.
The one with the most MVPs gets a prize.
The one with the most MVP gets a prize, which we haven't decided. But also, I think we will get their cardboard cutout and we will replace the mutant Perkz Reckless hybrid that sits behind us. So every split will get a new one based on who was MVP of the last season, assuming that they are on board with it and their team is on board with it. So, we won't just keep cutting people's heads off. Although it's kind of funny if we just get heads and we just
do you have a recording of doing
taping heads? Phil might. I don't remember. This is technically a year old now.
You could just take the Reckless one off and put a Vitality jersey on.
Well, I was debating if we should take Luca's Vitality jersey and just do that before the show started.
Just right now.
Just right now. But I held back, for old time's sake. So you have to pick an MVP. Again, I think it's easiest when you look at teams that are 2-0. Rogue and Vitality, obviously, easy options there. But your guys' games against the Straws, I don't know. Not sure.
Well, the MVP is not about like what team had the best games. It's what player had the most impact.
Sure. So you can get
who was the Oriana that was consistent in that Astralis game?
So who was the reason why their team won the game this week, or the team that stomped both games flawlessly?
Yeah. But like
he's a convincing man.
Stomping games flawlessly is true, and we already highlighted Malrang some struggles in the game, so I don't know if it's Malrang this week.
It's like, who would I take? Malrang, Trimby, Larsen, maybe Down for the Vixai King, or Comp for his snipes. Like it's hard to say.
I'm not taking Comp for the snipes as much as I appreciate the snipes. I was thinking maybe I'm not even Odo. Larsen versus Trimby is kind of where I was at on the rogue side. And
are we gonna be 3 rogues? Here's
the thing.
It makes it less hype if there's only from one team. Like
bro, we're just trying to pick the MVP key. If it's not hype, it's not hype. We want it like we don't want this to be key a player of the game. That's what we're trying to
it's
avoid.
like if you have like from different teams, you know, then you have like then the last weeks actually matter, you know. Like the last weeks actually matter.
Yeah. Well, this goes into playoffs. I should also clarify. Unlike the POG, which is like a regular season this goes into playoffs. So it's very unlikely a regular season team could win it. It is in theory possible. But this will continue into playoffs, and we'll give, I think, one every weekend or maybe one every best of 5.
So here's my pitch. Here's my pitches for MVP, and we can make it more of a discussion kind of. Yeah. So Larson, I agree with.
Sure.
I actually, even though he's here, I'm thinking Perkz.
Sure. Bias. No, I agree. To be fair, on my list for vitality of who could get it, it was Perkz or Selfmade, but then Perkz told me
I would say Carsey as well, perhaps, but that level 1 versus...
I think Carsey and Selfmade, well, I mean, I think everyone on the team played well. It's just like Oscar had like the second game face check, right? And Carsey had game 1 face check. So it's like, I think we just had like some hiccups, but like everyone played well in general, you know? Like I think my teammates are playing super well, so I'm really happy with that.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I mean, I'm kind of... It's so hard. Larson, Trimby...
It feels so biased to choose Perkz when he's right next to us.
I know, that's the problem. We should have made our decision ahead of time and just voted.
Yeah, we should have, yeah. What do you think, Poro?
Poro,
what does Poro think?
Wait, here's... Okay.
I think it should be Perkz.
Wow,
even the Poro.
It's a unanimous decision.
Even the Poro thinks
Oh my gosh. Bro.
I'm gonna...
You did bring it back. You had the good shockwave. You had a good steal. Your score line's kind of deceiving because you ended that game 6-2 and 5, but you were like, you got like 4 kills in like the last 3 minutes of that game.
Yeah, but like they had like 25 kills, so I couldn't really get any kills. What do you mean, man? What is this logic, by the way? My score is deceiving.
I was just reading score lines because I'm trying to remember the games, and I was like 6-2-5, but like okay, yeah. It's not like
score line is deceiving. Like this is it's like the weirdest flame I've got actually.
Yeah, you only got 4 kills.
Bro, what do you want from me? All right.
There's a Jace.
No, it's fine, guys. Just take a rogue member, and I will be flaming you guys in my next interview how you're rogue biased.
Trimby.
You're saying Trimby?
I'm saying Trimby. I don't think it's you, Luke. I'm sorry. You did great this weekend.
Man, you're actually a hater. You're just a hater. You're just a hater. You're just a hater. Bro, we have a hater over here.
I think it's Trim. I think his recon game was
then take my teammates. Take Oscar. He stole the Baron.
He did steal.
Yeah, but the early game was...
You were the one... I was on the Oscar train.
I was saying my top in jungle was griefing early game. That's just a fact. But he did stole the Baron. That's why we won the game.
The Diana game was really good.
It's Trimby or Perkz.
Absolutely smashed.
It's Trimby or Perkz.
It's Trimby or Perkz. That makes it easy.
Okay, you guys can decide after the show.
No. We need to get over
towards Perkz.
It's like really awkward now that I'm on the show.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm closer to him.
Yeah. It's important life skill development. We need to get better at conflict. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We're like
Rock.
So you're arguing.
I'll be Trimby.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh my god.
Okay, I'll say Perkz, rock, paper, scissors. Is this how we're gonna decide EUphoria MVP?
What is this, guys?
Best of 3.
This award has integrity. I swear.
Best of 3.
1, 2, shoot, or 1, 2, 3, shoot.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, hit
1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, Luca. I got absolutely demolished.
You got demolished, actually.
Oh my god. I should have taken Expect's advice. You know, Expect, he's a rock, paper, scissors main. He says you always go rock at least 3 times in a row, and then you swap it up.
It's true, yeah.
I should have done the same thing. I let him down.
EUphoria.
That was just great. That was the craziest play of the.
You know what? You know what? This is the thing. This is the only game I can beat you in. By the way, for some reason, not everything else. You blast me.
Well, you're a world famous rapper anyway. So
that's true. Okay, I can beat you in a battle freestyle.
You can beat me in a rap battle.
Yeah. True, but I usually write both sides.
That's fine, guys. I didn't want to get MVP anyways. I'm gonna play John Mid next week, so
I figured. Well, I mean that might be an MVP worthy performance. That's truly noble, sacrificing yourself for the team. This week it's Trimby by a close margin.
Can you when you edit it out? Can you put like a small picture or like Perkz in the
I will also draw Perkz crying.
Or me crying as well because of the rock paper scissors.
Yeah. And then on you can keep your clout on social media because people will flame me. They're going to flame you for voting Perkz, or they'll flame me for making Trimby win, or the entire.
You guys will both get flamed, and I will also get flamed for being like,
bro, whatever.
Yeah,
the only one who won't get flamed
this
is
is
the
content,
Boro.
Luca. You keep being you, bro. I don't want anything else.
The only one who doesn't get flamed is the Boro.
Yeah,
that's true.
Welcome to EUphoria, where we decide
innocent.
MVPs by rock paper scissors.
Well, yeah. Though up until this moment, the award had some integrity, but as both of us are spineless, neither one could stick our crown.
No,
I don't
move.
Play rock paper scissors.
I don't move.
Okay. Well, you might not be MVP of EUphoria for week 4
because Draco's a hater.
Because I'm a hater.
Yeah, I already knew that.
See,
but there's an entire episode dedicated to you. Bro, what do you mean I always flame you?
Actually, I am just saying randomly.
Okay, I was like, I have rapped on your behalf so many times.
I actually have casters on mute besides Caedrel. I have casters on mute besides Caedrel. so I wouldn't know.
Hey, to be fair, that's why we cast together.
So then we're never on mute.
No, yeah, because my ego can't handle being on mute, and you're the only one people listen to. So there it is.
Well, I was looking when Vitality play Rogue next. It's really far away. I still can't find it.
What? It's not.
I don't know. I just randomly wanted to know.
All right, now comes the start of the podcast
Week
where
5.
we're going to talk about you.
Week 6.
Week 6.
Week 6.
Do we get to cast that one?
Yep.
Do we?
We get to cast that one, I think. I hope.
Nice.
I hope we get to cast it. I don't know. I don't want to say we are, but if we are casting that one, that's funny.
Whoever gets Vitality Rogue into
I'm gonna kill
G2
Trimby in
Fnatic.
game a few times. So.
Oh,
You're gonna do Trimby narrative. I'll do Perkz narrative.
Yeah, you'll be like I'll be like Trimby's doing such a great job here, just like in week 4, and you'll be like,
do you see
but not
Perkz
as good as Perkz in week 4. Yeah, that's
only people who watch EUphoria will understand
settle
the
this on the
references.
rift. Yeah. We'll just do a random vote. Who do you think was a better player in week 4? We'll ask Twitch chat. It'll be the most random question
lane
of all
minion,
time.
and the Twitch chat can spam it.
Well, like who is better playing this game, Trimby or Perkz?
Yeah.
That's a good one. And then when Kia Pox come up, whichever team wins, the other one will just say, no, I think it was, Trimby from the other team or Perkz.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Bring us back. Let's talk about you, because you've been gone for a hot minute. You're back, and it just feels like it's always been this way, to be completely honest. It was weird seeing you in NA, because you were a player who I thought when you would leave, it would be like, you're an old man, there are no hands left, and you want a fatty paycheck, to be completely honest with you. Not that there aren't a multitude of reasons to leave to NA. There's a lot of cool stuff going on there, Champions Queue, etc. I thought that would be the moment where you went, but instead, leaving. Can you talk about that process? Do you want to talk about that process of leaving EU? What was that like for you? Was it something that you were initially skeptical about and got excited about? How did it feel to leave after honestly a pretty successful time? Obviously not as successful as 2019, but still a pretty successful 2020.
Yeah, definitely pretty successful. Yeah,
pretty good.
Definitely pretty good. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that was like, I felt like I needed a change. Or like I didn't really know what I needed. It was like a stressful year. I mean, like hard year for me personally as well. So I was like kind of like emotional about everything basically. But I felt like I was in a way also very attached to what I am in G2, or how do I say, like I was viewing myself on my successes or what I built in G2 rather than what I am as like a person, right? Like who am I, Luca, instead of who am I, G2 Perkz, what I built, what I did, blah blah, in a way. And I was also just like, it felt like kind of like, how do I say, an attachment where I just felt so comfortable there that I kind of knew inside of me, like I knew I needed a change. Yeah. Like I knew it, but it was also very hard for me to do a change because I did wanna have a very competitive team, right? And obviously it's like a known fact now. I got blocked from going for or even like talking to them or anything, you know. So it was really hard for me to get a different team in Europe as well that was like gonna be successful. There was a chance of getting like a very good team in Vitality as well at the time, but it kind of like fell apart because it was like too little too late, like basically. And I was also getting a bit blocked from it earlier as well. So it was like I was getting kind of like put in a very tough position. Yeah. And then basically seeing an offer came in as well. I mean, like many other NA offers as well. Basically like everything almost. I think I mean like literally everything actually. And then I was like, what I want to do, you know, and I wanted to go to C9 because it was NMET, basically. Like I thought something that's familiar from before and have a new way of getting it together, you know, would be kind of fun. And also, I mean, it was like there were like good competitive offers in NA, but I thought C9 was the best. Like they did go like 27-1 in Spring Split. I thought Blair was the best NA jungle as well. I think the bot lane was doing the best in NA, right? So it was like everything was going pretty well, and I didn't know anything about Fudge, but he turned out great, right?
Yeah.
So it felt like pretty good choice for me, and it was good. I did enjoy LA as well. Like I think it's obviously like different in Berlin, where I grew up. Kind of like, you know, from 16.
As a pro. Yeah.
I mean, like it's like
in the bad shisha bars.
Yeah.
You know, in the cramped scrim houses.
Yeah, exactly. One shower in the gaming house.
God,
you know, it was like all nostalgic
all
feelings.
Those nasty towels. Yeah, I feel you. Bro.
Basically, it's like this is where I grew up. So it's like I feel like it's gonna be hard for me to build a life in America now again, or like I don't know if I want to right now yet.
Yeah,
you know, as well. So. I don't know. I felt like it was a very good experience. I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, I'm just so blessed and lucky that in a way I got a chance, you know, to come back again.
Yeah.
Play with really awesome players under a great org. So I think I'm like super lucky with how everything played out, and. It's like even like back then, like when like I guess I was looking at, you know, maybe we could play one more year with G2, you know. It's like it is good that I got cut off, you know. It is by far the best for me, you know. I got so much better individually as a player and a teammate, what I had to learn in NA because of so many different circumstances that I had to like adapt to.
Yeah.
That the experience was so valuable for me that I would not have gotten if I was in G2. You know, if I was in G2 for one more year.
Do you, sorry to interrupt, but do you feel like you were kind of untouchable in G2? Because you talk about building G2, and I mean, people are going to look at G2 as an org, and it now stands on its own, and credit to Carlos and all the other teams, because it's not just League of Legends. But like when I look at the origin story of G2 and their success, it's like whatever the hell Carlos is doing in the world of business, but in the terms of esports, you built that team. Like you built the reason G2 has a legacy, and credit to all of the other players who have supported it along the way, but the name who stands out when we talk about G2 is you. So did it feel like you were unstoppable? Like this was
it definitely felt like what I mentioned. It was like I was valuing myself at like, or like in a way, you know, I was valuing myself more of like what I've achieved than what I am, you know. So I don't want to judge people or like say what is wrong or what is right, you know, but that is not how I want to live my life.
Sure.
And I'm at the point, I'm 23 now, you know, so I'm at the point where I'm actually just thinking about life, you know, as well, as I am, you know, still obviously a professional player, and it's the best thing I'm like so grateful I can do that. Like I can't believe that I get to like play video games for a living. You know how like still like I do it every day, by the way, and I still cannot believe it. Like I'm generally just shocked that this is what I get to do for a living. You know, obviously there goes lots of different thousands of things that I have to do while playing the video games, you know, as well. But it's just it's honestly a like crazy profession. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Were you and maybe just to say, maybe it's just saying the same thing in other words, but was part of the reason you were maybe scared or hesitant to leave G2? Were you afraid that like once you left G2 it was all gonna fall apart and maybe you wouldn't get back to the same heights of like being one of the all-time greats, and you'd have to be one of those guys who was like, I was really good on G2 all those years ago?
No, that was never a doubt in my mind. I wouldn't be doing good in NA or like internationally again, or like I think it's all about mindset and about like I've already like changed so many teammates that I know I'm good at adapting to new situations, but never changing my club or my residency or living or the continent or the weather or like the food, everything, you know. So that was like people underestimate how hard it is, or I underestimated as well. I didn't know how annoying it is to like change places of living, you know. It is really annoying and it's really tough in a way. So I wasn't, I guess, really sure what I was tackling on. But it was more like I didn't like, I guess I was scared of not having as good of a teammates, because I really want everybody to be really, really good at the game, you know, like understanding the game, understanding the flow of the game, understanding the mechanics, understanding like when to fight, how to fight, all of that. Like it's the small things that really interest me about the teamwork, you know, the improving together and specific points and stuff. And as I mentioned somewhere, I feel like it was like what I didn't like about NA or about C9, I guess, is that I got there and I got plugged in the team, you know? I came into this team, into this org that's already like developed in their own way, their own system, let's say. And I just got put in there, you know, me and Fudge got just placed there, right? So there was already like a team culture that pre-existed before I joined that I didn't like. I didn't like the way they were, you know, communicating with each other, the way they were like treating each other, I guess, or like doing things. It was just like not how I envisioned it. And basically, I think that also got me, that made me be much better at adapting to different things, you know, different situations, and not having control over things, which what I was used to, right, from G2 days. But I do play and perform and act the best when I am able to kind of have the control, like not fully, you know, I don't have to have control over everything. I wouldn't say I have control. When I have like some sort of responsibility that, oh, this is what I have to do on this team. This is what I want us to do. And
you have a say.
Yeah, I have a say, right? I have a like, I mean, I'm not saying I did not say I have a say in C9, but it wasn't like, the team was already, like the team was there. I just plugged in. This team, it's a new team. Like we are a new team, and we have the new staff, and we have the new players. And I feel like everybody's trying to find their place now, and I'm trying to help build it, because I think with my experience that I've got, and I guess, you know, the talent that I have in that way as well, it's my responsibility. It's not what I actually enjoy. Like, I mean, sometimes I was thinking in my past career. Wow, what am I saying? In my past career, I was thinking, I just wish I would play. I mean, I don't know, someone like, I don't know, Faker, CoreJJ, I don't know, Healy's, like somebody who is like doing those things in his team, you know, so I don't have to do shit, you know. Like, I was thinking that, you know, but it's like, this is a bad way to think about things. This is like, you know, if God has given me this talent that I can do this and that, then why am I shying away from it? You know, this is like it's my responsibility to do these things, and it's my accountability to do them right. Right?
You're gonna own
like
it.
I have to accept what I have to do, and I'm still not very good at dealing with that sometimes. So I do have, you know, bad days. Times I answer badly, times I do things poorly, but I am aware of all that, so I'm trying to improve further and further on. And I think that's what basically the whole change from G2 up to here right now in Vitality has given me more and more perspective. And that's why I'm grateful for all that, basically. Given the fact I can play with great teammates, experience, like it's just like it's insane, you know. My journey is just so mind-boggling that I cannot believe it.
It's the smile you when you think about it.
It's it makes me really happy, because I think that like this, like you've been doing this for a long freaking time now, and we've sat down at this podcast and other interviews a lot of times, and I've seen like we talked 2017 MSI was a dark time. There've been other dark times, and I'm just like, the amount of gratitude that you're expressing right now is so cool, dude. Like the fact that you can still, because like there are so many people in esports who are, you know, comparably successful or less successful or wherever than you, that have played for a long time, that are just jaded as hell. You know, and they're just doing it because it's what they know. They're doing it not because this is the thing that they love and they want to put their life into it and they want to be better at it, but because this is the best option that they have, and it's not one that they always appreciate. So I think it's super, super cool to see you, a guy who's literally been through every version. Like, you got blocked from teams, you've been like flamed to oblivion for international performances. Like, you've been through probably everything imaginable in the world of esports, and you're still
everything besides winning the World Finals, you know. Which is basically like, this is the only thing I have left, you know. It's the only thing that keeps me going.
Yeah, so is that the motivation? Like, you're talking about all these other
I mean, I guess
things.
the most, like, this is all the, like, the personal side, but I guess
Yeah.
the business side or like the competitive side is like, I mean, I feel like the only thing I have left is to win World Trophy. This is the real reason why I came back to Europe, right? This is like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna do it, but it's, you know, it's about the journey, it's about the process that is sometimes outweighs the outcome, you know. So basically, it's about believing. For me, it's about I want to believe in the process so that I can potentially win the World Trophy. It's like I don't want to be obsessed with lifting the World Trophy because that's not great. That is very bad. I've been there in season 9 and I was not feeling great. I can tell you that. So I have a different approach, and that's the reason why I could not stay longer in America last year. Like I could not see, like I could not wake up in the morning and think to myself, next year we're gonna make changes that's gonna make us win Worlds. You know what I mean? Like even though I kind of did want to believe in the roles, you know, like I was playing against these other teams and in scrims and on stage, you know, FPX, you know, these teams, like, and I was thinking, these teams are not good. They're shit, you know, like how are they so dog shit when NA third seed can smash them, you know?
Yeah.
Like EU, Rogue, you know, and FPX, like screaming against some other Asian teams I'm not going to mention right now, you know, we were doing fine, like at some points. Some points we sucked, some points we were doing fine. So I was thinking like, sure, why not, you know? But after we lost, I was like, yeah, we cannot win, you know? Like I kind of woke up, you know, and I'm like, yeah, you know, if I actually wanna believe myself, okay, this surrounding, this atmosphere, this environment is gonna make me believe I can win Worlds. Okay, I want to do that. So that's why I came to Vitality.
That's cool. How do you look now, having been on both sides of the EU NA rivalry? How do you look at like the LCS in general? How do you look at these like import back and forth thing? Because I think for fans, it's any version of meh to like this rivalry is really important to like we hate NA because they keep taking our players. Like how do you feel about that now that you've been on both sides? Is NA on the radar, or is it just they're another blocker in the way of your path to World Finals?
I mean, I would like to not view NA as like NA, more like LCS and LEC, you know, like two different leagues.
Yeah.
Rather than like NAU, because it would be like, this is not like, I don't know, when I was not playing it, you know, season 3, season 4, NA versus EU, where it was like actually NA versus actually EU, you know. Right now it's like Korea, China, Europe versus Europe, you know. So it's you're not playing like NA versus EU. So I think people have to change that view. That's the first thing. And the second thing is like, I definitely had a really bad view on LCS before I went there.
Yeah.
But after going there, I don't think the league is that bad, or like the top teams. I think the bottom tiers are so horrible that it's like it is actually just like disgusting to watch. Like honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, maybe it's similar in EU. Maybe when I watch EU, they think the same, you know. But
I think the difference is probably just like budget levels, right? Top 5 teams like EG, TSM, TL,
they have
C9,
like pretty big budget.
and 100 Thieves, their budget is insane. Like CLG FlyQuest budget different. I think in Europe it's a bit more balanced. I would say.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense what you're saying. Like definitely, yeah. I think that's a big reasoning as well. Yeah, but it's like top NA teams, like top NA players. They're like, I still think they're worse than EU players. I think there is a gap. I don't think the gap is that big. I think there is some players that surprise me. Like off the top of my head, I guess like Spica, FBI. Those are the two that actually like surprise me, right? In Fight surprised me as well, right?
Yeah,
I was on my own team. So yeah, there is good players, you know. Like the league is right now. I think that right now the league is pretty interesting as well. I think right now it's super interesting.
Was it 2019 Rift Rivals when you guys just went over there and like it was just you just clapped them? But now it feels like it's a lot more.
They didn't know anything.
I think they will be much more like closer now. Yeah, I think so.
Which is say, I mean, I would love to see that now. I think if they can find a good spot to put it.
It's just Rift Rivals must be so draining, isn't it? It's like
the schedule was brutal.
It's just how do I say? It's worthless because you like drain the players for like not actually anything. I think if they actually put like a big prize pool, let's say like they remove like, I don't know, they shortened the LEC and LCS by like 2 weeks, and then they put a big prize pool for Rift Rivals instead of like what was it, like $2,000 or something back then, you know, like put a big prize pool. Then I think it makes it more hype, you know. It's like you bring hype to it. I think that could be a good tournament to have.
Here's my pitch. Okay, I said this before, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. So you take the top 5 teams from the LCS and the LEC in the regular season, you put them in a 10-man tournament, and that's the playoffs. So there's no LEC or LCS playoffs. That's the playoffs, and now it's called the Battle of the West. And then the top 6 teams go to Worlds, and the winner gets a big prize pool. And then everyone can rejoice as NA and EU and say, this is the West.
That just sounds like
You
you're
know?
trying to make it so that we get 4 EU teams and
Yeah,
only
of course
2 NA
it is. Are you
teams
kidding
in
me?
the Worlds. I mean, look, all I'll say is that idea is out there. League operations team of Riot Games.
Then you get 5 EU teams, maybe.
I mean, that would, or do we get embarrassed and it's like,
Or do we get
2
embarrassed?
2 each,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Either
you
way,
never know.
that sounds sick. I mean, I'm a fan of generally more international competition. I think it's a hard thing to do logistically, but maybe in a post-COVID world, we get to see more
Oh,
of it.
Next year, hopefully.
Talking about this
Copium.
team, Copium, for sure. So you think this? You believe in the process? You believe in the process that, like, if you guys follow the process, that you will become your best selves? I don't know how to say this. Do you believe you guys can win Worlds with this team?
I mean, yeah, that's how to say. Like, I believe that we're capable of doing. I believe everyone has the capacity to be a player that can win Worlds, right?
Yeah.
And I think everyone has the individual skill to do that as well. And I think the players that I am playing with right now, you know, I mean, I guess besides Labrov, because he hasn't played internationally, they have proven themselves internationally already before.
Sure, yeah.
They have, like, I've seen what they are capable of doing, you know. They're capable of matching, not even matching, just beating those players, right? They are internationally known to be good, right? So I don't see a reason why we would not be able to do so, you know. I think it's just, like, obviously, like, thousands of small things that we have to go over, you know, communication, map awareness, champion pool.
They're a great team. They just need to work on their everything. I think I saw again. I was trying to catch up on all the interviews before we did this, and I saw one of the Carsy interviews. Ashley asked, like, what percentage do you think the team's at right now? He's like, we're playing good, but maybe we're like 50% of our final strength. Is this, when you look at a project like this, how do you? You said earlier that, like, every game matters and every win matters. How do you actually, like, space out and focus on because if Worlds is ultimately the goal, does that mean that Spring isn't as important? Like, how do you stay focused on the next thing in front of you, whether it be playoffs or finals or MSI or summer season, you know, on and on until Worlds? How do you actually stay focused on the next thing in front of you rather than just looking at, like, the broader picture?
I mean, to me, it's kind of simple. I just want to basically, like, obviously dubs are important, so we get to playoffs. But what is important to me is that we try to play a lot of different styles, and then we see what is our strengths and what is our weaknesses. You know, like what can we buff on and what do we have to work on. You know, and I think forcing that, it's like we do try a little bit now. You know, but it's like it is harder to experiment when you're like, so I guess, like, you know, if you drop games, you're like not making playoffs, you know. So
You don't have a safety net.
Yeah, exactly. So I even think we will, like, start being able to see, like, our form in playoffs, because usually in best of 5, you know, you prepare, let's say, 4 drafts, let's say, and like 3-4 drafts, and then you see that's, like, different styles, right? I mean, depending on the team. If you're a good team, you try to do that.
Yeah.
Not every team can do that, though. So there's a difference, you know. That's why some teams win best of 5, some teams don't, right? And then you test, you know. You play game 1, and you lose, and you go next one, you know. You choose a different one, you know, and then you kind of know what is your strength, what is your weakness. In those best of 5s, you get to truly test yourself. That's why the first best of 5s are usually also, like, I would say, more flippy in a way where, like, you don't know what enemy team prepped, and you kind of don't know how you're going to do with what you do, right? So it's like...
It's also a new patch.
Yeah, exactly. It's a new patch. So it's usually the first best of 5.
It's also different scrim metas, right?
Yeah, it's just the least amount of, how is it called? Like, showing of what the team is, you know? Like, usually the first...
most variables, the least information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then after the first best of 5, that's when you actually start seeing how good the team is, you know. Like the first best of 5, you know, you can make some narratives, you can make some hype, you know, but it's like you don't really know how good a team is until some team has seen the other team play, and that's where you actually
how you adapt.
The preparation, you know.
Yeah. Ooh, I like it. I
Yeah.
like it, dude.
Best of 5s are your comfort zone. That's
Yeah,
where you
it
really
is,
want
yeah.
to be.
I mean, this is the most fun thing about League of Legends
is, yeah.
career. Like best of 5 is like the preparation, the mind games, the what are you gonna do, what is enemy gonna do, you know, what are you gonna draft, what is enemy gonna draft, like all these things, and like, okay, who is a player, you know, that they have to be scared of. Like, I know I'm a player that people have to be scared of. I've shown it multiple times, so that's why best of 5s is what I like to do, you know. It's just
and
fun.
I think that especially like the biggest factor on top of all of that is like playing on a stage as well. Because I think that's when the real gems start to
I forgot
shine.
about it. I had to even mention it. Yes, like a lot of people, like even back when we played on G2, right? Like when we were playing online, even like 2020, basically people were starting to like match us, you know. They were like, they were fist fighting us, you know. But like on stage, we were better than them, you know. We knew we were like people are playing, you know, on stage you see a true competitor, right? So
it's a different world.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I would love to hear from you, because I think that you're 4 out of the 5 players in your team are so incredibly like, you know, successful in their own right. They are all EU legends in their own way. I'd love to know more about Labrov if you're fine talking about him and like whatever you want to share, because we've seen great games from him. He was a guy that even when Vitality was struggling, we saw some great moments from. But he's like the rookie on a team of like all stars, right? And so I would love to know what you think makes him a good player, because I think that ultimately this is a team where he's going to get like probably ignored in every headline until you guys like
Until some point.
win a champion or at some point, or he has enough pop-off plays. And I think that's, I don't know how he feels about that ultimately, but I think that's always the sad thing about these super star-studded rosters is there's like always this 1 or 2 players who get left behind. So I'd love to hear more about Labrov.
I mean, so it is like, I mean, all of my teammates are super good, and I think Labrov is also super good, and I think with him, I guess I also knew the least about him, right? So I was very surprised with how good he is, I guess, when I started playing with him, right? I think he's very intelligent about the game, and he also picks up on things super fast. So it's like just like some small things when I mention to him or I ask him, and it's like he responds very well, and also he changes in the game. So also he's pretty communicative. What I don't know what the word.
You got it. Communicative.
Yeah, I think that's the word. So I'm just very surprised by him. I definitely think he has the potential to be the best EU support. You know, everyone is looking at Healy, right? Healy, Mickey, Kaiser, whatever, you know. But like, I do think Labrov is, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna say he's the best right now, because he has had a really good split, right? You know, but I definitely think that, you know, by end of spring split or summer split, he can be the guy who makes a difference, big difference in the games. Like he is capable of doing that. So it's just like a good side for me, you know, like, and good for our team, right?
Yeah.
I remember the only thing I kind of knew about Labrov before the Vitality days was just the solo queue ladder, when he had like 2 accounts, rank 1 and rank 2 as support, which was like, as a support, it's like, what the hell? When it's a mid laner or a jungler, you're kind of like, okay, that guy's grinding.
OP role.
And then you look at where the second support is, he's like rank 31 or something. You're like,
I mean, if you're like that high on, like if you're, you know, like 1 or 2 or whatever, like top 10, you know, you're probably pretty good at the game, right? It's just about like showing it or like learning the team, the way how the team works, you know, how to win as a team.
Yeah, I think potential is the key word for him, because we saw it like last year on the Vitality roster. Was struggling, like his Alistar and his Thresh and things like this, where he was making plays to just kind of decide an entire win, which was such a big thing for that team, which was struggling so hard. A win was so important. Yeah,
and again, I think the ability to look good on a team that is struggling like that, as Vitality had in the past, I think is impressive within its own right. But frankly, I'm just excited to see how he grows, surrounded by you guys and having this great team environment. Obviously, like the memes coming into this, and actually not even just memes. Like we put it out there when we talked about it on the tier list, was like, look, tons of strong personalities here. Maybe this goes to shit. Sounds like it's going super well. Sounds like everybody's on the same page. I don't know. Like
we are trying to be. I'm not saying we all are, you know, we always are, but we are really trying to be. So I think that's what matters. I can see everybody is giving their best, you know. Yeah. And we are like, I don't think we're an honeymoon, you know. Like we've like already had a 0-3 week, you know, and we also know each other for 3 months now, right? So it's like we are definitely trying now. Yeah. Do
you feel like, in terms of, is this one of the more conflict-heavy team environments that you've been in? If it's not all sunshine and roses.
No. This is like pretty. There is not much conflict. There's just like some, a little bit of like. Honestly, it's like one of the least conflict teams I had actually, which is weird. I mean, like, you know, saying like the strong personality or something, but it's like from back in the days, I had like kind of like doubts about Alphari as like a player.
Sure.
But after playing against him in NA this year, I mean, I feel like he's like became a much more, how do I say, team player in NA, or like stronger. Like it was really annoying to face him, like Barney last year in NA. Like he was always winning lane, and not only like, you know, there was this like from Misfits days, there was like, oh yeah, Alphari wins lane, loses game, you know.
Yeah.
And it was true. He wasn't good at transitioning leads back then, but I think his game understanding now is very high, and he's good at like leading us in the game. Like he's good at like telling people what to do when nobody else is doing it. So I am very pleasant surprised with him as well. Yeah.
That's super interesting. So a while ago, and we've been missing this segment every episode, but you brought it up. We were asking, or I was asking the audience, do people feel like Alphari is a good carry top laner? Because I remember those days. I remember the Misfits days where he, you know, would get a lead and nothing would happen with it. I remember even the OG days, and there were a lot of other problems with OG, admittedly, where they would like give him counterpick Kennen top, counterpick Vayne top. They would throw him up there, and he would build. And this was on hit Kennen back in the day. These massive leads and never transition. Do you feel like now like Alphari has stepped into his own and transitioning the leads? Do you feel like
I mean, I think it's also like he's been on teams that like he's never had good like experienced players, you know? I mean, I mean, frankly, I feel like last year like Caedrel was probably the only good player he's actually played with. A good player. Sorry, he's played he's played with many good player that knows how to win games.
Sure.
Player that is Caedrel is a world champion, right?
Yeah.
He knows the fundamentals of league, the macro, the what to do to win the game, you know. And I mean, surely he must have like learned a lot from him, you know, like because he has so much experience, right? I think players who have international experience are in general much more likely to know how to win the game than the players who don't, and that's just like. It's just what it is, you know. Like, it's just League of Legends, man.
Because I guess you scrim against so many different like regions with different metas, so many ways.
I mean, you get like against the national teams, you just get like shit on by the smallest mistake in the game.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, okay, this is a fundamental thing we are doing wrong. We have to change this because this will f us over for like no reason at all, basically. So it's like you have to be aware, like, of, you know. That's why I feel like. Right now, it's easy for me to play, you know, because I feel like I've like
you've been
got shit on by so many different things, so many different ways that I know what I have to do. Like I just know this I can't do. That's why I don't know. I try to avoid doing like I try to minimize mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think one mistake against like an LPL Chinese team, it's just you don't think of it as a big mistake domestically. You just like kind of brushes off as like, okay, we lost a little bit, but it turns into such a big deficit from just like a snowball effect. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you mentioned earlier when we were talking about kind of the more domestic thing, it's just like first best of 5 in playoffs is like whatever. Second best of 5 is where you really feel like a team. Is it like another tier of finding out how good a team really is when they go to international? Is that like the ultimate, an even greater testing ground where you get to see how strong teams really are, or do we have to wait till like international best of 5s to really see like the final form of any
I think
team?
international best of 5s is the final form. Yeah, like for sure. You are like you have to be at your peak as a team because you're just so motivated. It's like there is no, I don't know, there's like no better feeling than like there's no more exciting feeling than like preparing for a best of 5 against another international team and knowing you're going to be playing on stage in front of the crowd. Sure, the last part might not happen. The first part is already pretty exciting, right? But like second, like if it's together, like then you see the true peak. Like that's just it, you know. That's
where the magic happens. Like you get the glory moments. That's where like, you know, the narrative really hits home because you can make like history, right? So
I mean, even like I have no idea because I don't know how much you can hear in your headset, but like whenever we talk about crowds, I get chills and I get sad at the same time.
The funny thing
is
that when you say that, I remember you had that one interview on stage. I don't know who it was against, but you were saying to the crowd like, "You guys are too loud." Like you can hear it in the headset or something like this. I remember seeing this interview, and I was like, "Damn."
But there's that feeling. I think players get it too because you get it in casting where whatever you're saying is 100 times more hype, and I'm sure for you, whatever you're doing is 100 times more hype. Because when you solo kill someone,
I remember my first game, my first best of 5 against Origin, like 6 years ago. Like I was playing like Zed and LeBlanc, like on the final stage. Like it was just like the best time of my life. I was having so much fun, you know.
Yeah.
Just like solo killing.
It's like
people.
you and Trick just popping off.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I was like so diving in mid lane level 6, and then I could hear like the crowd, you know, like.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, it just feels so good, Like this is like the moments that I wanna like relive, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, unleashed. Crowd. Fingers crossed for crowd soon. Potentially copium. We'll find out. This is not confirmation or deconfirmation of anything, but hopefully crowd soon. Because as a caster, it's also that is the peak for casting. I'm sure it's the peak for playing too. When you have the roar of the crowd behind you.
So you're looking at me like you've cast in front of crowd. You've played in international battle, and I'm just sitting here like
I'm not doing this to roast you.
Either.
I'm not doing it to roast you. I'm looking at you because I feel so much joy when I think about these moments, and I can tell Luca that you do too. And I want you
to experience it. Yeah.
I'm not trying to meme your pro career, but I want you to have that as a caster because there's another level.
Yeah.
This is the Super Saiyan of casting, and people think that they've touched it because they've had a good game or you've cast a crazy back and forth base race, but you have not cast anything until you've cast it for a live crowd. I think that is the pinnacle for playing.
It's also the experience of
pinnacle
being
for
at the event
esports.
and stuff, right?
It's just truly the greatest thing. I'm excited for this weekend. Excel matchup, Fnatic matchup. How are you feeling about this weekend? It feels like you guys are outside of week 1 and maybe a bit of a struggle against Astralis. It feels like you guys have just been steadily improving. Are you confident in both the games?
So I would not say. For example, I'm super confident for this week because the patch has changed.
Yeah.
And so it just depends how much we want to experiment. And because let's say if it's a previous patch right now and we play against Fnatic on this current patch, I will be actually 90% confident we're gonna win.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. But since it's a new patch right now, and we are basically looking to shift some priors, it is not. I can't say with sheer confidence, we're gonna shitstomp them, because that's not true. It depends who's gonna be the best one on this current patch right now in this next few days and figure out the things the fastest. I do think we have a good chance of beating both of these teams, especially Fnatic as well, right?
Yep.
Even if it's new patch, but it won't be like, we will see. Maybe it's gonna be easy, maybe not. But I can't say, we're gonna smash them because changes are important.
I mean, frankly, I'm just ready to see what the team can do and how you guys can grow. I think we have a lot of banging matchups next week. Mad versus G2, always interesting, even if it's not quite what it once was.
Quite the same.
Vitality Fnatic, good overall. Maybe Astralis can beat Rogue. That would be great. That would be my favorite timeline. Exactly inverted score lines. I think it's an absolute banger. Mark, what are you most excited for this week before we close out? What's interests you the most? Is it new patch, mid laner nerfs? What's getting you going?
I guess new patch because I think a lot of the OPs got changed. I want to say nerfed, but kind of changed. Like Corki, I don't know where he's going to be in people's prio anymore because Herald 8 minutes, package 8 minutes, but now it's 10.
Yeah.
And it's also 5 minutes cooldown. So basically, you cannot have package on every dragon. You can choose what dragon you want to have it on, but it's not mathematically possible to have it on each dragon because it lasts for 1 minute and it's cooldown 5 minutes. So it's 6 minutes, right? So it's that's why it was so OP last patch as well, I think. We will see though how it turns out. Yeah.
And there was a lot of mid laners who just casually picked it up when there was no objective sometimes. You're like, why did he pick up his package? I guess that maybe it's a buff to those players. But anyway, I don't know how this patch is going to play out.
Neither do I. It'll be interesting to see. Luca, any final words for Vitality fans, Perkz fans out there before we close out the episode?
I mean, I really hope that Vitality we can gather many more fans, because I know Vitality hasn't had much success in the last years in League. So we are here looking to change that. And to any of to all of my fans that have watched me or followed me for a long time, just thank you for sticking up with me. I am currently really enjoying myself again in the Midlane, in the LEC, in this team as well, with great teammates surrounding me. And I feel quite good right now, and I feel like my performance is really, really good. So I am hoping I can keep this up. Sometimes I have problems with being super consistent all the time, but I think this year I'm changing it up a bit. So I am definitely on an
upward trend.
Upward
exactly.
Trajectory.
That's awesome.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a banging episode. I missed having people in studio. You were a fantastic first guest to have back in person, Luca.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for talking.
You guys were a fantastic host to have first time as well.
So good.
Besides the fact that Drakos is the biggest hater.
Yeah, he's less of a fantastic
host. He's the guy who goes and Reddit
hater.
and he makes a post when after I have one bad game.
Accountability.
Yeah. Or Perkz is so washed, but humanoid runs it down 5 games in a row and then You can clearly see Humanoid doesn't care about regular season. Perkz runs in one game. Oh, this guy is so washed.
He's so washed up.
Disgusting bad player. Like, so washed.
I mean, it's true. How dare you? How dare you
lose three games?
have a bad game? Okay, how dare you set foot on this? I, as a C9. Wait, okay, wait, no.
Oh, the classic one when you were like 100 CS up. It's just a matchup.
I just how the matchup goes, guys.
Well, I'll continue my crusade of posting bad Reddit comments about Perkz and giving other people
On
MVPs.
many different accounts on VPNs.
On different accounts, on VPNs, on this podcast. You'll never get an MVP as long as I live, buddy.
You'll never prove it.
Regardless, excited for week 5 and anything that can happen in week 5 and some of our banger matchups. Thanks again for coming on, Perkz. This has been Euphoria Season 9, Episode 5. We'll see you guys this weekend for LEC and next weekend for Episode 6. Next week for Episode 6.